goodness you're here.
Welcome, guys.
Hey, fellas.
Well, now that Kylo Ren's in charge of the First Order, let's see if he can bring Rey to the dark side. Here's Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker.
I got a bad feeling about this.
I'm not ready.
Who's ever ready?
So Kylo Ren kills a bunch of mushroom people who were guarding this box in the middle of the woods. It had this GPS pyramid inside that he uses to find a rhombus on another planet. He takes this elevator down to a cloning factory where he learns that Snoke was just a meat puppet for Emperor Palpatine.
Now, how is he still alive?
Somehow. I mean, he was just thrown down a bottomless pit that exploded. That's like totally survivable. And it's not like he's the first one to do it.
Happens more often than you'd think.
So Palps is now like way uglier than the naked mole rat he used to be. But even though it was his intention to kill the Emperor, Kylo decides to hear him out, and he offers to let him lead the Final Order as the new Emperor of the galaxy. And the idea of him being able to one-up his grandpa sounds pretty good to him. But the only catch is, he has to kill Rey first.
So, he wanted to kill her at the end of the last story.
I'll destroy her. And you. And all of it.
Well, he must have changed his mind. I mean, in case you haven't noticed, he's a little emotionally unstable. But then he gets to command this ginormous fleet of Star Destroyers that he had hidden underground.
Was that filthy shit?
We then go to the Millennium Falcon, where Poe, Finn, and Chewie are meeting up with someone who has a message from a spy in the First Order. They're transferring the message into R2, but the First Order is closing in. And once they get the information, they take off and have to escape through a narrow path. And we see that Finn still enjoys shooting his old coworkers, but isn't so great with numbers.
I got one! How many are left? Too many!
He can't count to 4?
Give him a break. Maybe the First Order didn't teach him basic math. It's not like he's Batman.
I guess Steppenwolf took the one your people were guarding. That leaves 2 more.
I'm impressed.
Your math is blowing my mind.
But once they lose the ones in the hall, they have to deal with more outside. So Finn decides to stop shooting, and Poe decides to lightspeed skip. Which I'm guessing he has to do because they added lightspeed tracking to all the ships in the First Order now too. But Chewie thinks that Rey's gonna be mad for them driving like this is a Fast and the Furious story, but she's busy off training. Unfortunately, now that she knows that there's no hope for Ben, and Luke's, well, dead, she knows that she's the only hope to stop Kylo Ren and Zombie Palpatine. So she's off running and jumping and trying to talk to dead people.
Talk to me, Ghost.
And hey, so is Kylo Ren, who keeps Vander's mask in a mini fridge in his office.
He won't let me move on.
He touches it, but it just messes with Rey's concentration. And now she can't even do the laser ball thingy that the 6-year-olds practice on, so she goes apeshit on the forest.
I'm looking forward to completing your training.
So she goes back and apologizes to Leia, who's apparently her master.
Hold on. Now, we know that Leia can sense some stuff, but the only time she's ever done anything is when she was about to die.
Well, it turns out Luke trained her after they took down the Empire.
But he barely got trained. He was with Obi-Wan for a couple of days, and maybe with Yoda for like a week?
Okay, so maybe they just figured it out together. Either way, she knows some shit, and she's teaching Rey. And don't forget, she's got the Sacred Jedi text, so now she's got a how-to guide and everything. But the Falcon gets back, and Poe gives her some shit about not going with him. But I'm not sure what she would have done, but he's pissed and Finn's on his side. But the message that they got was that
Somehow Palpatine returned.
and this dude Beaumont's like,
Dark science. Cloning. That's some kind of wizardry.
Sorcery!
because he thinks cloning is a Sith power. I guess he didn't know about the giraffe fish.
It's science.
But I understand your confusion. Great power has always baffled primitive men.
But they know that Palpatine is on this planet called Exagal, so Maz drops this mind-blowing idea.
If we want to stop him, we must find him.
I'm glad you're here to tell us these things.
And Rey just happened to be reading the chapter on how to find it earlier that day. See, Luke was looking for it too, and was on the hunt for one of those pyramid compasses.
But what if Kylo has the one that he was looking for?
Well, it can't because then the story couldn't happen.
Yeah, it can. Kylo's looking for her.
Shut up and let them chase after the MacGuffin that Luke was never able to find and they only have a few hours to get. Oh, did I mention that Poe said that they only have 16 hours until the Final Order attacks? So since time is of the essence, they wait until morning to leave for this desert planet that isn't Tatooine. They also make a point of saying goodbye to people. Like Rey says goodbye to the woods, Finn says goodbye to Rose.
Well, why can't Rose go?
The general asked me to study the specs of old destroyers.
Well, why wouldn't they just ask the people who used to blow them up or the person that used to dismantle them?
Girl knows her stuff.
I don't know, they're probably afraid she'll do something stupid like last time.
Listen, you can't park that shuttle here.
But Leia gives Rey Luke's lightsaber and tells her that they'll talk when she gets back.
Never a good sign.
And C-3PO says goodbye to R2 and tells him what a great friend he's been, which is usually not a good sign in these stories, but since it's coming from C-3PO, this probably happens every time he leaves the room without him.
And do take good care of yourself.
But it seems that the First Order knows about the spy after they killed Julio.
There are others out there, and we run into them from time to time.
But Kylo stops the conversation because he knows that General Hux doesn't like that he's wearing his mask again.
Can you keep your thoughts to yourself?
He got a new mask?
Actually, it's the same mask, since he had some monkeys weld it back together. But some guy has some follow-up questions about the Sith fleet, so Kylo force choke slams him.
I'm strong enough to kill you.
So it seems that the Resistance team has gotten some coordinates that Luke left, but it's where they're having Coachella.
Aki Festival of the Ancestors.
Rey bumps into this armadillo that gives her some Mardi Gras beads, but randomly wants to know her first and last name instead of making her earn them. But she doesn't know her last name.
I don't have one. I'm just Rey.
Since she was abandoned at an age where she can remember being left behind, but not something so trivial as her full name.
You remember more than you say.
But then she gets a forced Zoom meeting with Kylo,
Hello?
who tells her that Palpatine wants her dead.
I feel very protective of you.
But he still wants to turn her.
I don't have the strength to stay away from you anymore.
Even though she wouldn't hold his hand.
I was standing right next to you. What exactly was that?
And then he takes her beads and knows she's at Carnival.
Why don't you go and enjoy the rest of the festival?
They're sending local PD to get him, but Kylo and the Knights of Ren are on the way.
I'm breaking all the rules now anyway.
Guess you guys are lucky and famous, huh?
No, you mean notorious.
A stormtrooper catches them immediately, but then he's shot by a coal miner in a pimp jacket. And when he gets him in his sand RV, he reveals himself to be Lando.
So instead of high-stakes gambling in his old age, he's doing peyote with armadillos in the desert?
Okay, I'm not sure how you know what peyote is, but Leia called him to help him out. And he was able to find him so quickly because Chewbacca stupidly didn't put on one of those cloak shaw thingies that everyone was wearing.
Wookiees stand out in the crowd.
And he says that he and Luke were looking for a Jedi hunter.
A Jedi hunter?
When gone am I, the last of the Jedi will you be?
Well, some Jedi survived Order 66 and went into hiding.
I have recalibrated the code, warning all surviving Jedi to stay away.
And this guy would hunt him, and he either had a wayfinder or at least a clue to one. So the former scavenger thinks that it will still be on his ship after it was abandoned several years ago.
Hey look, we can break it apart, we can sell it on eBay.
But the First Order has shown up, so they abandon the vehicle they're in to go hotwire some speeders and draw attention to their getaway. And they make it about a quarter mile before some stormtroopers catch up to them, and it just so happens they brought speeders with launchers for their jump troopers. And for some reason, they're surprised that stormtroopers finally got a technology that's been around for at least 60 years.
So they're surprised about jetpacks. But the TIE fighter being able to light speed skip when they are short-range fighters and being able to track them instantly with tech that has just been invented was just expected?
How do you know how to do that?
But they think they take them all out because, again, counting to 4 is hard, and the last jump trooper shoots their speeders that launches them into quicksand, and then they take them out as a team. But then they start sinking, and Finn tells Rey,
Rey, I never told you where.
and then they all go under. Well, it turns out that this was just a mild inconvenience, and they got dropped into a cave. But Rey's first question is what Finn was going to tell her, but he says he doesn't want to tell her in front of people. They then find a speeder with a Sith hood ornament and a skeleton around the corner that they assume is a Jedi hunter. And of course it is, and BB-8 finds a knife, and when she picks it up, she feels like it's evil or something.
Horrible things have happened.
She's gonna freak out about this random knife, but not about Anakin's lightsaber that he killed a bunch of kids with.
What the hell are you talking about? When she touched the lightsaber, she ran off crying into the woods.
Oh yeah.
If anything, she overreacted to Anakin's lightsaber and is underreacting to this knife because we find out later her parents were killed with it. And in addition to it being a murder weapon, it also has the location of the wayfinder inscribed on its blade. Unfortunately, it's written in the Sith language Urkatat, which C-3PO is forbidden to translate thanks to the Senate passing a stupid law.
I am the Senate.
Couldn't they just trick him? I mean, Luke got him to pretend to be a god for the Ewoks. Why don't they just get him to point to his arm if they're right or something?
Bark twice if you're in Milwaukee.
Well, I'm sure they would have, but then a giant worm pops up and wants to eat him.
Look who's here, the giant worm.
But Rey's like, wait, it's not hungry, it's hurt. And then she heals it using the Force.
Well, how did she learn to do that?
Sacred Jedi text!
I swear, everyone thought it was cool as hell when Luke pulled his lightsaber from the snow without being trained on how to do it. And nobody thought it was weird that Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon force ran and then never used it again. When the entire story of Revenge of the Sith revolved around Anakin wanting to learn this power to save Padme.
Gee, sorry.
You should be.
But Palpatine said you couldn't learn it from a Jedi.
Gee, I wonder why the guy trying to control the whole galaxy would say that to the one who was prophesied to destroy him.
You mean you were lying?
Anyway, the worm gets healed and doesn't eat him, and then it fucks off, revealing that it was in front of the exit, conveniently blocking all light beforehand. She explains that she transferred some of her energy to it, but for some reason isn't drained of any of it herself. I mean, you'd think she'd at least need a juice and a cookie after something like that.
Does anyone have any orange slices?
But Chewie grabs the knife, and they take off outside where the Knights of Ren are looking for him.
I'm looking!
Where'd he go? Where'd who go?
So they go to the abandoned ship, since they know that they'll probably be watching the Falcon. So all but Rey board and find that not only has nothing been taken off this ship for years, but it's still in working order. But Poe has a few repairs to do, and asks Finn, who just a few years ago didn't know anything about ships, to help, while Chewie, who has over 100 years of experience, goes outside to get Rey, and immediately gets spotted by the Knights of Ren.
Okay, you're mine. I got you now.
And once Poe gets the ship up and running, they notice that Chewie isn't with Rey, and Finn goes out and finds Chewie being arrested. But not only that, he's the one who had the knife.
That was the only clue to the wayfinder thing, and it's gone.
Rey, on the other hand, knows that Kylo is coming in his TIE silencer.
Hello?
And instead of running back to tell them to take off, she decides she wants to play chicken with it, and then backflip over it to cut a wing off.
How did you do that?
I don't know.
His ship breaks apart, crashes into the desert, and blows up.
Do you think you got him?
But Finn comes out to tell her that they have Chewie, and she sees the ship leaving. She tries using the Force to keep it from leaving, but she sees that Kylo Ren survived the crash, and they play Force tug-of-war with the ship. And they both lose. See, in her anger that he's still alive, she uses Force lightning and blows up the ship.
Well, how did he survive the explosion?
Well, remember, fire doesn't hurt anyone, unless we need it to.
This is outrageous. It's unfair.
Oh, so everybody in the ship she just blew up is okay.
No. All those people are super dead. But reinforcements are coming, so they need to go. And Kylo Ren just lets her take off.
I'm both frightened and aroused.
But on the First Order ship, we see them towing in the Millennium Falcon, and Hux tells General Pryde that they brought a prisoner, and it's Chewie.
Wow, fireballs really don't hurt anybody.
Well, not in this case. See, they had two ships, and Rey blew up the other one. But the good guys all think that Chewie is super dead, and use that to emotionally manipulate C-3PO into allowing Poe's old friend to illegally hack his memory. But like any time you hide in an asteroid field, there's always someone a few rocks away waiting to follow you.
We lose him? Looks like it. Do some of that pilot shit. Yeah, go get him.
And after they find who they were looking for, and some aggressive negotiations, we see that it was the Knights of Ren who were following them.
This is what I call a target-rich environment. You live your life between your legs, man.
They get C-3PO hooked up, but making him translate the inscription will completely wipe his memory. And even though R2 backs up his memory, C-3PO makes excuses on why that won't work.
R2 storage units are famously unreliable.
When the fuck has R2 ever been unreliable? R2 has been the most reliable character in all of these stories.
The thing is, if this guy works on droids all the time, you'd think he'd have something laying around that he could back up his memory on. But then he remembers a pinky promise they made before they went there, and agrees to do it.
I haven't the faintest idea why I agreed to this.
The First Order's doing some random house checks for children to abduct and turn into stormtroopers.
We'll need to increase recruitments. Harvest more of the galaxy's young.
A little short for a stormtrooper.
So Poe and his friend Zuri go to keep watch, and she says that she can't stand listening to the sounds of children being ripped out of their homes.
Oh, so she wants them to help her save the kids.
Please don't make me go. I don't want to go.
No, she's just gonna move. And she even has this special coin that can allow her to go anywhere without the First Order giving a shit. And she shows this thing that most people would kill for to a guy she doesn't trust.
Did you ever trust me?
Nope.
And she wants him to go with her, despite her wanting to kill him earlier. But he says he can't walk away, especially now that they only have a few hours left. But he thinks it might already be over, since no one answered their call the last time they called for help.
But no one's coming.
Babu Frik lets him know that 3PO is ready to go. He reactivates him, looking possessed, and tells him that the Wayfinder is in the Imperial Vault, on the remains of the Death Star on Endor.
The Endor system, where the last war ended?
So this whole thing is like if I left you money in my will, and sent you on a scavenger hunt to find it, with the only clue being a pen from the bank my account is in. But it's in Aramaic. C-3PO wakes up with amnesia, and Kylo Ren's destroyer shows up, where Rey senses Chewie, so now they need to go save him. And to make sure they get on the ship, Zuri gives Poe the escape the sounds of screaming children coin, which of course works, and gets him on the ship right as Kylo Ren lands below.
I'm coming to get you.
Luckily, they landed on the least guarded hangar possible, and then they go look for Chewie. They're pretty much caught immediately, but Rey uses the Jedi mind trick on him, and they tell her where to find him and all of his crap.
It's down in the ladies' room.
But when they get to the least guarded prisoner cell block on the ship, Rey senses the dagger, and that she'll need it later, so she goes to Kylo's bedroom to find it. As she's gathering Chewie's crap, she gets another force call from Kylo.
Hello?
He tells her that Palpatine wanted her dead and had her parents killed when they wouldn't give her up. And she's like,
Liar!
Because remember, he told her she was a genetic piece of crap.
They're filthy junk traders. Sold you off for drinking money.
I lied. I had to lie. You believe me so easily.
But he may have been right about them being drunk, because her mother told a guy that was an expert at hunting Jedi that he will never find her. And this expert hunter still couldn't figure out that the little girl screaming at the ship on Jakku was their daughter.
You suck, Issac.
Poe, Finn, and Chewie have been captured and are about to be executed, but General Hux insists that he kill them himself. But he kills the stormtroopers instead, and then he tells them that he was the mole in the First Order and helps him escape.
Wow, he really hates Kylo Ren.
Yes. Yes, he does.
I don't care if you win. I need Kylo Ren to lose.
Rey sees Kylo landing, so she gives Chewie's crap to C-3PO and tells the droids to find the others. They all meet up at the Falcon and shoot Hux to make their escape look legit.
Must feel good. Always.
Kylo and Rey finish their conversation about the Emperor, where she learns that she's his granddaughter.
The closest thing to royalty my world has.
I knew it!
No, you did not.
But if you think about it, her dad was most likely conceived when the Emperor was deformed.
Famous ladies, man.
Okay, I think I'm gonna stop.
But Palpatine doesn't know that they're a dyad, two Force users that are stronger when they're together.
A power like life itself.
He wants to kill the Emperor together.
We have to kill him. Rip him apart and burn the pieces.
It's the only way to let you go.
And then they can both take the throne. But she had a vision of this and doesn't want it to come true. So she Mary Poppins onto the Falcon and they head off to Endor.
They were running away.
That's disgraceful.
Hux reports to General Pryde, saying that the prisoners overpowered the stormtroopers and forced him to help him. But Pryde doesn't buy any of that crap and shoots him, and he dies.
This place could be a little rough.
The Resistance crashes on Endor, and they find the remains of the Death Star. And when they see how big it is, she remembers that
from the southern shore, only this blade tells.
And pulls it out, and discovers a widget that points to the location of the room the Wayfinder's in when you line up the dagger with the Death Star. And wouldn't you know it, she just happens to be in the right place for the perspective to work. But some locals show up and tell them that Babu Frik sent them to help.
How'd you two meet?
And they also have the parts to fix the Falcon.
We have lots of that.
But Rey wants to go now, but the waves in the water are crazy, and it would be safer to go in the morning, or when the Falcon's fixed. And while they're fixing the ship, this girl Jana tells Finn that they all used to be stormtroopers, who all had this urge to mutiny when ordered to kill civilians. And Finn tells her that he felt it too when he was asked to do the same, and says that after all he's seen, it has to be the Force that did it. So either they're all Force sensitive, or they've just learned what morals and conscience were.
Compassion is central to a Jedi's life.
But BB-8 says that he can't find Rey, and they go outside to see her on a stupid little boat heading out to sea. So I guess if you're a pilot on a desert planet, that also makes you an expert sailor. But she makes it, and after a heated conversation about how stupid Rey was for doing it, Janet tells Finn that they have another skimmer if he would also like to be a moron.
Stop right there. I'm in.
But Rey makes it up to the throne room, and despite the whole structure falling apart and having debris everywhere, the door to the vault is clear and even has working electricity, allowing it to open like a door at a grocery store.
Old tech. Old. Functional, but old.
She finds the Wayfinder right away, but bumps into a vision of who she could become if she joins the dark side. It seems like they would give her a badass double-ended lightsaber, but a really crappy dental plan.
And for a second I got a warm feeling, but then it was ruined by those disgusting ass teeth.
And when she startles herself, she drops the Wayfinder, and Kylo Ren picks it up. He tells her to join the dark side, and she's like... And he's like, how can you not see that that is a dark side trait? I mean, honestly, since I have kidnapped you, you've been nothing but mean to me. You've attacked me while I was injured, with a gun and a lightsaber. You've tried to kill my friends. Hell, you even left me unconscious on a shipwreck where I could have been killed. And this entire time, I've just been trying to be your friend. What part of any of that says I'm a Jedi? You've been using your anger to fight this whole time. Just accept it. You're using the dark side. He then tells her that he knows that she has evil blood, so she has no choice but to turn to the dark side. because Leia won't love her anymore.
You can't go back to her now. Like I can't.
Okay, so the only reason that he helped Snoke kill all these people was because he was afraid that his mommy didn't love him anymore?
Yep.
So Han was afraid to face Leia, so he went to Maz, and a bunch of people got killed.
Leia doesn't want to see me.
Luke was afraid to face Leia and went into hiding, and a bunch of people got killed.
Leia trusted me with her son.
And Ben was afraid to face Leia and went to Snoke, and a bunch of people got killed.
You can't go back to her now. Like I can't.
Yeah, and if you include Poe, almost everyone in these stories dies because some dude doesn't want to have an uncomfortable conversation with Leia.
And just avoid any more female advice.
But he does that controlling boyfriend thing where he says that you can only do the thing you want to do if it's with me, and then breaks the wayfinder.
Oh no, he smashed her McMuffin.
So she tries to kill him. Again.
But if she goes with him, she can still get to the Emperor before those ships launch.
Yes.
And he wants to kill the Emperor too.
Yes.
So why doesn't she just go kill the Emperor with him and then try to kill him?
Shut up. He smashed her toy. Now she wants to beat him up. And again, is fighting using her anger while pretending she's not going to the dark side.
Hypocrite!
But Finn and Joonas show up and see them fighting on the wreckage, and Finn thinks that during a lightsaber fight is the best time to distract her.
Right! Are you brain dead?
She brushes him off.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me!
And then has a long jump contest with Kylo, who wins.
Is it possible to learn this power? Not from a Jedi.
And Finn wants to go too, but Jana's like, you can't jump that far.
Now you know that black people are the best in sports, come on!
But they keep fighting, and he has a few chances to kill her, but doesn't. But when he finally decides, this isn't worth it, I'm just gonna kill her, he gets a call from his mommy, and knows she's gonna die. So she can tell that he's upset, and takes advantage of this moment, grabs his lightsaber, and goes straight for the kill shot.
That was a cheap move, and you didn't even try to stop yourself.
And then Leia dies. And Kylo's like, you really fucking stabbed me. I did not expect that. And she's like, am I the bad guy? Wait, I can fix this. So she heals him, proving to him that no matter how far you go into the dark side, you can still find your way back. So he learns that love is unconditional and you're never too far gone for redemption. Which are the core lessons of Anakin's story. So either Luke was a shit teacher, or Ben just didn't pay attention to the man who he admires' legacy.
Bit of both.
And then she steals the ship, but as luck would have it, they fix the Falcon, and Poe comes to pick up Finn and Jana. But instead of following her when she's right there, they go back to the Resistance base to talk to Leia. But they find out that she's dead, and Chewie comes to the realization that all of his friends have died. And Kylo deals with his shit too, but then Han shows up.
Like in a Force Ghost way, or in a being stabbed and thrown down a bottomless pit doesn't kill you way?
Over my dead body.
Neither. Kylo's basically hallucinating the last conversation he got to have with his dad, but picturing if it went different.
Son, he's gone.
My son is alive.
Hey, come on.
It's too late. I know what I have to do, but I don't know if I have the strength to do it.
See, Rey told him that she would have joined Ben Solo, and now Han confirms that he could still go back to the light. So now that he knows that he needs to help Rey kill the Emperor,
which is what he wanted to do when he was evil anyway,
he throws his lightsaber into the ocean.
That's the last thing you should do. What were you thinking at this point?
But the Emperor knows what's up and puts General Pride in charge, and to let them know that they mean business, they use a Death Star cannon on one of the new Star Destroyers to blow up Kajimi. So the last thing Zuri probably hears was the sound of screaming children. Ah! But the Emperor broadcasts that every planet needs to bow to the Final Order or die because every one of his ships can blow up a planet.
But didn't the Empire have to mine like all the kyber crystals for Project Stardust? Then they had to do it again just a few years later. And now they have to find enough for all of these Star Destroyers to have planet-killing technology without anyone noticing.
That's probably what took them so long. And now everybody turns to Poe, since Leia apparently knew she was going to die, and put it in her will that Poe was going to take over the team.
What the hell was she thinking?
So he goes to talk to her dead body. But Lando comes in and says, get your shit together, kid. And also, you can win with the power of friendship. And the first thing he does is make Finn a general.
Well, look at you, a general.
I'm a big deal in the Resistance.
Because they just throw that title around like it's candy.
General.
General Kenobi.
General.
But Finn has some information from this droid, D.O., that they found on the Jedi Hunter ship. Apparently, the order was for him to bring Rey to Palpatine alive. So it's a good thing that Rey didn't go to Exagal. She decided to go to Luke's island, where she apparently crashed on purpose and is adding extra firewood to it to make sure she can't use it. She even throws her lightsaber in the fire, but Luke's ghost catches it and says,
"A Jedi's weapon deserves more respect."
Like he didn't do this before. See, she's afraid that she'll turn to the dark side, and Luke tells her that he and Leia both knew that she was a Palpatine, but they trained her anyway because they knew she was a good person. And also, if you don't go kill him, a bunch of people are gonna die. So he gives her Leia's lightsaber, but she's like, how am I supposed to get there? And he's like, haha, watch this, bitch. And Luke pulls his X-Wing out of the water that runs fine after being submerged for years. And she gets the wayfinder out of Ren's ship, that of course is fine after we've seen how fragile the other one was. And after C-3PO gets his memory back, he tells him that R2 is getting a GPS signal from Red 5, and now they know how to get to Exagal.
She's showing us. She's showing us how to get there.
Dio has a terrain map and the weather conditions of the planet, so they know the ships can't take off without help from a navigation system. So they need to blow that up, and then bomb the shit out of the Star Destroyers, since they can't activate their shields until they leave atmosphere. And then that moron Beaumont suggests,
we need to put some holdo maneuvers, do some real damage.
And they're like, that's stupid. But if you want to kill yourself doing it, go for it. So while the fleet goes to Exagal, they plan on sending Chewie and Lando to the core systems to recruit fighters.
Why don't they just send every ship to a different planet, recruit as many people as they can get, and show up together?
Let's do that.
Well, they need to get the navigation system offline so the ships can stay grounded. It's easier for the new people to show up and just bomb the crap out of the ships and not have to worry about anything else.
I can do this.
Plus, no one showed up the last time they asked for help, and there's a chance it might happen again. But they get there right after Rey and are surprised when they get shot at.
Okay, that's gonna be a problem.
Poe orders them to fly at their level so they might accidentally shoot their own ships instead of them. And after 30 seconds of fighting, Poe has to remind them that more people are coming.
Don't give up! Help is coming!
Finn pretty much immediately finds the navigation tower and heads down with the ground team to take it out. But General Pryde makes it so the signal comes from the ship he's on, and he's personally going to lead the fleet off the planet, even though that we've established that you can't take off without the navigational system. But Finn feels the signal coming from one of the ships,
so we blow that one up.
And they're like, sure, go with your gut, buddy. We'll just be out here dying, so we hope your feeling's right. Even Rose doubts him.
You're a selfish traitor.
But when they get out on horses, you can see why.
Which way?
No idea. Follow me.
Meaning that even though they were on a major time crunch, went back to get Jannah, her friends, and some horses that would have been freaking out on these ships.
And I have a bow and arrow. None of this makes sense.
But the fleet is about to leave, so they take out the satellite dish up in the air by throwing some bombs in a manhole underneath them. And somehow that works. But instead of the bomb blowing up some important wires or something, apparently they can just reset the tower if they unplug it and plug it back in.
60% of the time, it works every time.
But they only have a small window to bomb the ships, and reinforcements haven't shown up yet. So Poe's losing hope after like 5 minutes. I mean, come on. Those other pilots haven't even had time to put on their shoes yet. So Poe tells them their new strategy.
Just stay alive!
Underground, Rey gets off the elevator and finds the cloning area. And then she finds the Dark Throne and turns around to see a stadium of people who bought tickets for the coronation of the new Empress.
I have been expecting you.
See, he always wanted to have her kill him, and he would take over her body.
We will be one.
But I'm not sure why he would want to do that when she was 5, but alright. Now, she wants to kill him as a Jedi, and he's like, do it.
Take your Jedi weapon. I am unarmed. Strike me down with it.
I know how much you hate me. You want to kill me, so just do it.
I am defenseless. Take your weapon. Strike me down with all of your hatred, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete.
But she says that she won't kill him out of anger. So he pulls that old move where he shows all of her friends dying and says that killing him is the only way to save him.
From here, you will witness the final destruction of the Alliance and the end of your insignificant rebellion.
And she's like, okay, I'll do it. He then tells the crowd to get ready for the main event. But just when you think the Emperor is gonna win, Ben shows up. Good thing he found an old TIE fighter on the Death Star that wasn't damaged at all and was still fueled up after all these years. No scavenger certainly would have taken that thing. I mean, he's lucky he found it at all, considering that they were in battle and everyone was trying to abandon ship before the Death Star blew up. So he runs towards Rey shooting the guards, but then the Knights of Ren show up.
I can't believe we're doing this.
And he forgets that he has a blaster. She senses him getting the shit kicked out of him.
Yeah, I got him.
Right. You made a bad choice.
And force Sky's him to let him know that she's gonna give him Anakin's lightsaber. She then pretends like she's gonna kill Palpatine.
Now, fulfill your destiny.
and she makes it disappear like a goddamn magic show.
Close-up magic. I learned that.
How'd you do that?
So Palps tells his guards to get her because obviously he's too weak to do it himself.
If you will not be turned, you will be destroyed.
But this time, she's able to take them all on her own. Meanwhile, the Knights of Ren were nice enough to back off while he made this call and just politely waited until he was ready to kill him.
I'm moving in. I'm in. I'm in. That son of a bitch cut me off. Look at this. Jesus Christ. I can take a shot right here. Watch your back. Watch your back. Shit.
Gutsiest move I ever saw.
And he meets up with her at the tail end of her fight with the Emperor's guards.
Welcome, young Skywalker.
And she's like, I can tell you're Ben Solo because of your sensible sweater. And why are you so much hotter now? When we get home, I am so holding your hand. Now let's kill the guy that wants me to kill him.
Oh man, the last time they fought, Rey hadn't trained very much. But this time we get to see how a badass dyad really fights together?
No, they go down like little bitches.
You no longer need those.
Palps just slams him to the ground and sucks a little life out of him. And that heals him a bit. And he's like, oh shit, since you're a dyad, if I kill you two, I can heal myself and go on ruling the galaxy in my own sexy body.
You want this, don't you?
So he starts sucking the life forces out of their bodies, but then stops for some reason.
Okay, the whole point of him wanting her there was that he was too weak and needed to be in her body to be able to do anything. So how is he able to beat them both at once?
That doesn't make sense.
Outside, Poe sees Snap Wexley die, and we're like, who gives a shit? But Poe loses all hope and apologizes to the team for leading them on a suicide mission that's probably gonna fail. But then Lando says, but she's not alone. And then all the girls meet in one spot to fight. I mean, he says, on your left. And Poe leaves the battle to go look at all the ships that Lando brought.
Avengers!
Assemble.
Poe tells him to concentrate on the Death Star cannons, but to take out the ships if they can. And General Pryde is shocked by all the ships that showed up and is like, what do you mean all these people don't want to be controlled?
That's for damn sure.
Poe then finds out that Zuri and Babu Frik didn't die listening to the sounds of screaming children. I mean, the kids still died. But, hey, they made it out. Yay! Actually, those kids were being recruited.
Whoever doesn't can be a real loser.
So they're potentially shooting at them.
Just killed me! Everybody stay behind me. I don't know where the trigger is. Yay! Hey, wait for me! This is everything. I have a belly button.
What a dreadful situation.
So apparently Palpatine didn't like getting thrown down a bottomless pit. So when he sees that Ben is still alive,
Now, young Skywalker, you will die.
he throws him down one. He then uses Force Lightning and all the Resistance fleet, making them fall out of the sky. And since he's never had this much power before, it must be because he sucked their dyad power out of them. And this is why you go in with a plan. So Rey comes to and watches them all get shocked and thinks, should probably do something about this.
As you can see, my young apprentice, your friends have failed. Your fleet is lost, and your friends will not survive.
So she tries to connect to the Jedi group chat like she did in training, but this time they answer.
Hello there.
And they say get up. So she does, and then politely waits for him to notice.
Patience, soon you will be with him. Your feeble skills are no match for the power of the dark side. Pay the price for your lack of vision.
And the Emperor blasts her with lightning, but she catches it in her lightsaber. And he's like, you're no match for me. But she's like, haha, I have 2 lightsabers, bitch. And somehow this is stronger. And remember, he's too stupid to stop shooting lightning. And this melts his face, and statues crush all the spectators, and his chair explodes.
Boy, that escalated quickly.
Well, now the pilots are all free to start their attack again, because I guess they were falling really slow or something. And Finn and Jannah get this gun to fire on the command deck. No! Help! So now the Final Order fleet can't take off. But they're still on the ship that is completely getting blown up because they shot one room on the roof.
Your friend's on that sky trash?
I guess he is.
So Poe goes to get him, but Lando's like, I got this, and gets him before the ship crashes. But Finn senses that Rey's in trouble. See, she's a bit tired from holding those lightsabers up, and she dies.
She is strong with the Force.
But then Ben climbs out of the bottomless pit because, again, that's completely survivable, and he goes over to her, and he hugs her lifeless body, and then he tries to force heal her since she did it to him. I mean, how hard could it be? But he's just gonna go for it, and it works, so she kisses him. He's like, oh, that was nice. Weird, but nice. Okay, I'm gonna die now.
Oh, that's sad.
Hey, he died doing two things he always wanted to do. Be better than Darth Vader, and hold Rey's hand. And we know that he and Leia are really dead because their bodies disappear.
I was wrong.
So she takes off in Red 5, and everybody knows she's alive, and they go back to celebrate at the base, where Poe tries to get some.
We can do this all night.
I was just thinking that.
And unfortunately, we find out that idiot Beaumont survived. But Maz calls Chewie over.
I like that Wookiee.
Apparently, before Leia died, she was thinking about two things. Bringing her son back to the light, and what a bitch she was for not giving Chewie a medal 35 years ago after they blew up the Death Star. So she died holding it and wanted Maz to give it to him. And then Rey shows up, even though she left Exagal with them.
She probably stopped for tacos.
Probably. I'm sure dying makes you hungry. But she finds her friends, and they group hug, while Lando hits on Jannah, who is just trying to make small talk. Rey then goes to Luke's old house on Tatooine, and buries Luke and Leia's lightsabers in the sand.
What? How can you do this?
I don't like sand.
But she has a new lightsaber of her own.
So she's finally gonna get her bow staff lightsaber.
The hilt looks long enough for it to be, but we don't see her light up the other side. But it would be pretty stupid of them not to do it in any other story she might be in the future, because, you know, we were introduced to her by her fighting with one. But just when you think it's over, this old lady sneaks up on her in the middle of the desert, sees she's playing with the lightsaber, and demands to know who she is.
I'm Rey.
Then the lady's like, not good enough. What's your last name, random weirdo standing in front of the local murder house, admiring your weapon?
What's with these people demanding a last name, and why didn't any of them do it to Finn?
Well, she just decides that if random strangers are going to keep demanding one, she might as well use Skywalker.
Oh, she's continuing the tradition of naming things after hermits that you barely know.
Do you really expect her to run around with Space Hitler's last name?
She could have gone for Organa, the one who really trained her, or Solo for Han, who was her father figure for like 5 minutes, and Ben, who kidnapped her and creepily stalked her across the galaxy for like a year.
Shut up. If you had the chance to name yourself after anything, would you name yourself after a smuggler, a politician, or a famous wizard? That's right, you'd go for the wizard, especially if your next step was to open Hogwarts. But then we see that she stole BB-8 from Poe, and it's over.
How'd it go?
Really bad, actually.
You know what you need to do. You know.
I've seen worse.
I've seen better.
We gotta go.
The Force will be with you.